Hello everybody and welcome back to I Can't Breathe, the show where air is free, see the change, be the change. And today we continue with our mini-series, What is the Goal? Now, for those who probably noticed, it's been a while, or it's felt like it's been a while since I've done this show. And the reason is because I wasn't here last week. You'll know very soon the reason why I wasn't here last week. But we're back this week with our mini-series on I Can't Breathe called What is the Goal? Now, for those of you who are new to this series, basically what we talk about is what is the goal of equality. Now, of course, this live is mainly dedicated to Black Lives Matter and things surrounding equality when it comes to ethnicity. However, we also talk about other forms of inequality as well, because as I've said on previous shows, if you're going to label yourself a person who fights for equality, then do it in all forms and don't just pick and choose what sort of mode of equality you want to fight for. If you're going to fight for equality, then fight for equality. Don't just fight for a certain thing. Like, do you know what I mean? If I'm making sense, I'm pretty sure that I am. However, I'm going to stop waffling, but I am going to tell you quickly before I invite on our wonderful guest today. I'm going to quickly tell you why I called it What is the Goal? I said this in the first episode, but if you missed it, basically all I was saying was that I put emphasis on the word goal because I didn't want to put a word like dream or ideal, because I looked up the definition of the word dream and ideal versus the word goal, and the definitions were very similar, but the only difference was intentionality. There was zero intention or very little intention by the words dream or the word ideal, or like even if you're saying that you wish that this was reality, that's not sorry, there's no intentionality behind that at all. It's just something that you put out there. Whereas a goal, there was intention. In football, a goal isn't a goal until you score it. It's not a goal until you score it. So that's why I called it What is the Goal? Because I'm a person who definitely believes that if we want to see a goal, then we've got to stop just saying it and start doing things to achieve it. Because again, in football, a goal isn't a goal if there's no one to score it. If there's no one to help facilitate the goal, if there's no one to pass it upfield, if there's no one to run down the line, if there's no one who's in the box, if I'm crossing it in and there's no one in the box, the goal's not going to be achieved, the goal's not going to be scored. So what are we doing? What position are we playing in? Because not everyone's going to be playing in the same position. What position are we playing in so that we all collectively score this goal? Because we're not a one-man team. If a team of 11, even if they're Accrington Stanley, who, by the way, if you don't know football, are a really bad English team. If a team like them, if there was 11 of them versus Ronaldo, Accrington Stanley is still going to win because there's 11 of them and it's just one man. There's no such thing as a one-man team. It's a team of people who say, I'm going to play my position to help facilitate or help achieve this goal. Even the goalkeeper is so important as well. Everyone in the team is important. So that's why I called it What is the Goal? Now, without further ado, I'm going to invite up on today's guest. Really excited to have him on today. My man, Johnny. It'll be really, really cool to catch up with him as well, because I haven't spoken to him in a while. I know he has so much wisdom to offer, so whether you're watching this on the live or watching this in the feed or watching this on the YouTube channel, then make sure you're paying attention, because what Johnny has to say 99.678% of the time needs to be written down, and the other times needs to be mentally noted. So because pretty much everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is golden, so make sure that you're ready to receive. And yeah, let's invite him on. I always say that make sure that you are interacting and asking questions while you're here, because this is a conversation between everyone, not just myself and Johnny. But hello, Johnny, how you doing?
I'm fantastic, and how are you?
I'm good. Very nice hat you got there.
Thank you very much. I did it just for you, Jordan. Just for you, mate.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So for those who don't know you, could you just tell them a little bit about yourself?
Of course. So my name is Castlejohn. I'm a recording artist. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an advocate for young men, and I specialize in the emotional well-being development of young boys, teenage boys, young men. So I usually work with people ranging between about 13 years old all the way up to about 30 years old. And yeah, I write songs, I write stage plays, I write movies, I write TV shows, and I mentor a whole group of brothers who are on the come up, who are learning and growing and just doing incredible things in the world. So that's me, I guess, in a nutshell. I'm an author, I'm a published author. I've got a new book coming out 19th of November. It's called Stories Boys Don't Like to Tell, which is a series of stories that pretty much mark the key moments where a young man's mask is formed, the mask that he wears when he goes out on the street, the mask he wears when he goes to school, to church, to work, the mask that protects the real version of him. So the book explores about 11 of those stories, and they're all true stories, and we've actually adapted some of that into a stage play, which is extremely compelling and moving, which is actually assistant directed by one of your dear friends, which is one of the young men that I mentor as well. So shout out to Zach. Yeah, one of the members of my team who's actually incredible. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Sick. And when you say you are an advocate young men, what like?
Well, the life of a young man, the life of a young man is very complex, and
Yeah.
there is a sort of conversation that makes it seem like our life is easy because we stand up to people, and we've got all these like privileges and rights and this kind of stuff, but there's a huge emotional intelligence deficit where young men are concerned, and that's where I come in. I advocate for the open communication of young men, especially in the Black community. I am an advocate for the acceptance of one's feelings, one's state of being, one's place of existence, which is something that young men are taught to suppress. I also believe that where one can give a little bit more than the usual, then do give it. Purely because I know what it's like to need a particular level of provision, especially from an older male, and not getting it, and then having to figure my way through, making horrendous mistakes, making embarrassing mistakes over the years, and then having to learn from that and still be able to hold my head high. So what I do is, I try and encourage the young brothers who are 16, 17, 18 years old. It's like, you don't want to be 24 when you find out that you're a bit of an ass. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to be, you don't want to be like 27 having a massive emotional breakdown like what I did because you didn't pay attention to the signs and because you didn't speak up. So that's what my advocacy is all about.
That's brilliant. That is absolutely fantastic. And I guess at the beginning, when I was talking about having intention, why do you do that, or what want to do that?
I understand what it is to be at an emotional deficit, and I understand what it feels like to be mentally on the edge. So I'm convicted. I'm convicted, literally, like on a spiritual level, to do what I do, because not only is it important, but I remember how much I needed it. And so my intention comes from my knowledge of the necessity, my understanding of the depth of the issues that plague young men, especially, these Black boys. I've seen it myself firsthand. And then on top of that, I've had to walk alongside, and I say had to because I couldn't turn my back. I couldn't possibly turn my back on somebody who I knew needed me, and I had the capacity to help. So the intention comes from understanding the need, understanding the necessity, And that's through experience, not through guessing, not through assuming, not through, but because I genuinely have been through this stuff. And, the fork on my road was, do I go down in sort of the road of I'm going to do me and do my own thing and cover my own back, or I have an opportunity to change the narrative for us, through expression, through art, through mentoring, through programs, through working in schools, through working with charities and other youth-led and youth-focused organizations. So the intention comes from experience and the knowledge of the urgency and the necessity of what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah, that's sick. That is really, really. So on the sort of topic of goals and stuff like that, are you a person who likes to set goals?
I do like to set goals, but I don't put pressure on myself when it comes to those goals. So the types of goals, okay, so I'll give you an example. At the dawn of 2020, I set myself one goal, and that goal has the four strands to it. Okay, one goal with four strands. Okay, and that is to work on my patience, my discipline, focus, and fortitude. Okay, fortitude because I deal with a lot of emotionally heavy issues with regards to myself, family, friends, communities, you name it. I have to be able to feel fully, feel honestly, and feel truly, but not be overcome by those fears, by those feelings, right? So that's what fortitude is all about. Focus, just finishing what I started, no matter how big or small it is. How I practiced that this year was, instead of starting a whole string of new projects and trying to sound impressive, I cut down about 90% of my production company's projects so that I could focus on just two projects that I knew I could see through to the end. I could see the measurable goals within that, and I knew that I was able to cover the milestones without stressing myself out too much. So the focus is all about finishing what I started, okay? And then the patience, just having the patience to be able to work with other people, relate with other people, and to just understand where people are coming from. So that was really important. So we've done fortitude, we've done focus. Oh, discipline is left. Discipline, listen, I like to have a good time. I really do. And sometimes I can turn a Wednesday morning into a Saturday night and not feel a way about it. And, sometimes that's okay. And sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
And I've had to be disciplined to know when it's not okay. And to be able to measure honestly, how far can I go with something? How much can I give? How much can I do? How much can I take in? So that's a goal. And the thing is, when I said no pressure, I've given myself 10 years. Well, now it's 9 years and 4 months, or 9 years, 3 months and 2 weeks that I've got left. But I feel like so many life lessons have been learned already since January. And I can see how much focus and attention is required to focus on just one goal that has four strands. But then what happens is the man that it makes me is a man that I actually like to look at in the mirror. I like the person that I'm becoming because I'm looking at these things bit by bit. And also when I get to impart a message or a lesson to somebody else, I get to do it in a non-complicated way. People are sick and tired of all the chit-chat and the gibberish and the jargon and all this stuff. I feel like one goal with like a few facets to it, and give yourself a significant amount of time to work on it so they don't beat yourself up. And so you don't, feel horrible, because in this generation, there is such pressure to achieve now, to have now, to get now.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy for anybody. That is not healthy for anybody.
Yeah. 100%. So how do you set these goals? Because I know that sometimes you can be like, okay, cool. Like I might have got to a place, and they're like, I don't really know what I really want to do right now. I don't know what I want to work on. I don't know the goals that I set. So I set goals.
That's a very interesting question and a tiny bit difficult to answer because the way the answer to that question changes over the years. So I can tell you, 10 years ago, I actually set goals because I'm not gonna lie, like I was trying to be on par with my peers. I believed that there was a blueprint system that if someone's achieving a particular sort of set of goals, then that same achievement is dispensable to me. That's not true. That was never true. But now I set goals because I'm like, okay, I have seen where there is a need. And knowing who I am, the elements that make me, I know how I can meet that need. So I actually I set my goals according to what needs I need to meet.
Mm. Yeah. And so, and here's an interesting question. So what happens when, I mean, like, I know that these goals, like, it's hard to tell when you sort of achieved it, because like even when I sort of work on my patience and I'm a lot more patient, like, I can always be but with like sort of goals like in 5 years I want to be in position, or in 10 years, what happens when you your goal, then what is next?
I think it's important for people to understand that to achieve your goals, it's not like goal achievement is not a destination. It's really, really not. And it's hard to explain a little bit because within pursuing that goal and achieving that dream, whatever it is, you find something within that usually that's going to challenge you and grow you. Some people find things that they just immediately fall in love with. And it's like, you got to be careful with those because you don't know if it's really if it's gonna like shape you to the person that you need to be. Whereas there's sometimes where I'm in the middle of achieving a goal. I'll give you a great example. So I sometimes take on part-time work in places where I feel like there are some really good stories, right? So you can actually get really great stories from, say, like an old people's home, yeah? But then I'm there thinking, oh my gosh, these stories are gonna be so great. I'm thinking more comedic, right? But then I get there and I'm coming up with these stories and I'm challenged because I'm thinking, wow, these people are living with Alzheimer's and dementia. They're living with like chronic arthritis. They're living with other mental issues that I never thought about. Actually, this is not that funny. Actually, that time when that joke was made by this, oh my gosh, how do I turn around? How do I turn that around? Because what's happening is a certain group of people are being stereotyped or whatever based on assumption, and people are making jokes about it. Whereas I'm actually seeing that there's a much greater need. One of the great needs that gets glazed over, for instance, is the loneliness of old people, right? So the goal within the goal becomes, okay, if I'm going to do this work and I'm going to write this piece, how do I do it in such a way where at least I can contribute to the solution that looks at maybe minimizing the loneliness of the elderly? That's just one example, okay? It started off from being a very normal goal for me. I'm a writer, I want inspiration, I'm gonna go into the space where I can be inspired. I go there, the reality of the process shows me that, oh my gosh, there's actually a greater need than what I realized. So I don't believe, to answer your question, I don't believe that you ever really get that thing of like, oh, I achieved this goal. Another example, I wrote, directed, shot a film over the summer, and then we just did an amazing premiere the other day for it. It was open air premiere, fantastic stuff. And the goal was to successfully deliver what was in the brief. But then, about 2/3 of the way through, a new goal was born. Because the challenge for me was, can I direct a group of 12 and 13-year-olds? That was the challenge, right? And then when I realized that, oh my God, I actually can do this, then I decided to put forward a conversation to say, can we do a series? So now the goal is to do the series, and we've got to now go through all the motions of that, right? So my answer is, I don't believe there really is a destination for this type of goal. I believe that, within the journey, if you're open, you'll be inspired to do something else and to be involved on a much deeper level that grows you and challenges you.
Yeah. And I guess when you're moving towards achieving or moving towards your goal and sort of developing yourself, how do you a sort of stalemate or like a standstill in progress? Because like when I talk to people who like work, they always say that when they first started working out, it went so quickly, it improved so quickly, but then you get to a point where like say your like 5K run is like going from 40 minutes to 35 minutes to 30 minutes, going down really, really quickly. But then like for like a week, you'll get the same time. You're like, but I'm not better. Like I'm not
Plateau.
faster. Sorry?
The plateau.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yes. So it's like how do you overcome that in terms of your goals when it feels like it's like
Stagnation. When it feels like stagnation.
yeah.
Okay, so that was hard. That was hard. Let me not even lie. I'm not gonna fairy tale it. I'm not gonna philosophize it. It's hard. It's hard. Okay. And I find myself dipping into analogies like a seed, yeah, has to be in the ground, in the dark, in the cold, in obscurity, where it's hopeless. It's hopeless and just there's no sunlight. But the seed is doing what the seed is doing. And that, that is what I've had to hold on to. I'm like, the seed's in the ground. The seed is in the ground. An example, so that I'm not just chatting rubbish for your listeners, like I wrote a whole series, a whole 12 episode series 2 years ago, ready to go, partnered up with certain people, ready to hit it up and get it done. And then all the mishaps, all the rejigs, all of the reshifts you can think of, they happened. They happened. And then stagnation. Well, at least it felt that way. It felt that way. And it was horrible. Because you're there thinking to yourself, so what, like, is my goal worth, not worth anything? Like, what? And then there's that whole sort of like, what about me? Because everyone else around is signing this deal and that deal and getting this moolah and that change, and this German. Like, it's like, it really can affect one on an emotional and the mental level. However, you have to, that's when you now have to really cultivate that patience, because the seed is doing what the seed is doing. Anyone who knows about bamboo trees, right, is that seed does not sprout for 5 years. It's in the ground, but it doesn't sprout for 5 years. But do you know that when it does sprout, it grows 2 inches every single day. In a month, it is as tall as a couple of stories, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that's how I've had to look at moments that feel stagnant. Because I've had to be like, the seed is the seed and the seed is doing what it's doing. And that same show that I've had to wait 2 years is the show that when I was in the middle of a goal, it became the new goal within the goal. The show is greenlit. The show is going to be funded. The show is happening. And guess what? The show is actually going to have the right actors this time. So you've got to really allow things to take the time that it takes, because, I call it divine preservation. Give it time so God can give you exactly what He believes is the best thing for you. Don't go rushing, because you're not going to be able to give yourself a better deal than the man upstairs can. So that's my answer for that.
That's big, man. That's really, really big. So to transition to the sort of main bulk of the conversation, or the main reason why we're here, what do you believe is the goal of Black Lives Matter? When someone tweets or hashtags or says Black, what do they want? What do they want?
People just want equality, don't they? They want equality, they want equity, they want recognition, they want human rights. It's not difficult. What's made it difficult is that guilty parties in this world have decided to make it about everything else other than the justice that Black people deserve, the equality and equity that Black people deserve, the rights to equal medical care, okay? The rights to equal mental health care, okay? The rights for Black women to be able to go into a hospital and not be afraid that her baby might die or she might die. Because what people don't realize is that healthcare services kill more Black people than the police do through negligence, yeah? Now, I'll be very honest. I don't like talking about this type of stuff. But then I am aware that my children one day are going to come into this world and realize that there has been something going on. And they're going to want to know, Dad, what did you do? What did you have to say about it? What was your contribution? And what was your offering of solution? So when people talk about Black Lives Matter, I'll speak from my perspective. It's equity, it's equality, it's human rights. That's what we want. I do not believe that any other lives do not matter. I do not believe that anybody is lesser than I, okay? Everybody on this planet has their strengths and their weaknesses. I have mine and they have theirs, of both, respectively. However, it's become this massive, crazy war, you know, because someone feels guilty or someone feels like, why do you have to bring it up all the time? Why do you have to say that all the time? Well, I have to say it for every man and woman and child, Black man, woman, and child who's been killed 100% innocently in this country, in the United States, in African countries, in Europe, and in Asia and South America. There is not a spot on this globe where people in positions of power have not abused their power and brutalized, abused, assaulted, and even murdered Black lives. So for me, on a non-organizational level, Black Lives Matter means just let me flip and live.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Did you see Diversity's
I was moved to tears. I was moved to absolute tears.
yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. But have you seen the Instagram comments that have come?
No, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to go there. That's part of like my self-preservation, where I feel like I might see racial injustice, even in just the form of writing. I try and avoid it because I remember I did a documentary. I featured in a documentary a couple of years ago, and it was talking about being an immigrant into this country and exploring the meaning of the word immigrant. And the Metro newspaper took a clip of that video, put it up on their website, and the vitriol and the villainy that was being spewed by these middle country white was unbelievable. My soul was so shaken by it. I said, you know what? It's best I don't read these comments because I do not want to be disheartened from the work that I do. And the work that I do, although not exclusively, it is primarily for people, for boys and men who look like me, because I don't have that guidance. Boys and men who look like me are not a priority in the United Kingdom. That is the bottom line. People who look like me and you are not a priority. Let me give you an example, okay, of just how like insidious this disease is. I took some family members to the park recently, and we had this little boy with us, right? He's not related to us, but this little boy who's with us, very energetic kid, loves to run around. And there were two slightly bigger, slightly older white kids who were there, right? And they were playing absolutely fine. They were even chasing a fox. Okay? If a fox turns around and bites you, you need shots. Like you need to actually get treatment because you might die, right? They were chasing a fox. When this little Black boy we were with ran towards them with his mighty energy, they ran to their parents, fearfully.
Wow.
Oh, he's 3. He's 3, by the way. The kid I'm talking about who was with us is 3.
It's 3 years.
He's 3. He's 3. If we want to talk about the state of the world, these kids are going to chase a fox that might bite them and maul them. Go on Google. It happens all the time. Yeah? And then a Black child with nothing in his hands literally just runs towards them and they flee for their life.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Oh gosh. Yeah. It's sort of strange, isn't it? Because I find that a lot of like racist ideals or the way I think, like 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 that has spread in a child. Like I don't know how something like that can learn, because I don't believe that someone is born with the fear of of uh,
Mm.
of like, black people or anything like that. Like it has to be taught either direct or something. It's not on kids. It's indoctrination. It's smart. Like they'll watch their parents, watch how they operate, and they copy, imitate. Um, so yeah, that is really, that's really sad. That's really, really sad. And I was looking because again, I was looking at the Britain's Got Talent comments on the diversity post, because like I was just because like it was an amazing performance, so I wanted to see what people were saying about it. But then
Mm-hmm.
all I was seeing was all lives matter. Um, all I was seeing was I can't believe that this show is now getting political and
Political. I have a message for all those people. I have a very, very, very simple message for all those people. Okay? You have no evidence. You have no evidence whatsoever, yeah, that racism is not real. It's in the movies, it is in songs, it is in even certain hymns that people wrote and tried to slap the name of Jesus on it, right? Trying to utilize the name of the Almighty God to enslave human beings and to be racist and to demean and to degrade and to disparage. It is documented in countless places. There are scholars from the 16th and 17th and 18th century who literally wrote documents on how to oppress dark-skinned people. So now that we have voices to actually say, I've had enough of this. I'm not having this. And by the way, I'm pissed off. And then you want to take my anger as aggression? No. But then in Morrison's, you cut in front of like a little white lady and she's wiling out. She's wiling out. Just you wait and see. You're fucking dead, you are. You're dead. Look at you. Black. Again, just Google it. Just go on Twitter. It's there. It's there. There. Go for it. Just go. It's there. But me, I'm angry because for centuries, oppressed my people and I'm supposed to be okay. I'm supposed to just be like, thank you, sir. No, sir. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, 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 no. No, no. I believe that we deserve to have those voices. And you know what? We can live exactly where the hell we want to live. You know why? Because from day, humans have been immigrating. It is human nature. It is human nature for people to travel and live in different places. Okay, you know, we read about all these great boat builders and everything and stuff like that. What, you thought they built boats just for fun? No, they built boats so they could travel. They built boats so they could travel and explore the world and settle and do things. So, you know, people have got to really just take a chill pill. I don't feel sorry for anyone who feels attacked by messages like what Britain's Got Talent did. I don't feel sorry for them at all. I don't wish any harm on anybody whatsoever. I don't wish hurt and pain on anybody whatsoever. But if you look at programming and you feel attacked and you feel triggered, not my fault, buddy. Not my fault. Not my fault. Because when I'm out here looking over my shoulder, just because I'm black, they don't care either. They don't have to give it a second thought. They don't have to give it a second thought. I'd like you to watch CCTV footage of white people after 12 o'clock at night in these small towns around the country and look at their behavior. They throw chairs and break windows and light fires and take drugs and do all these things. And then when like big football games are on, they'll all descend into London and wreck London to nothing. And what do you hear about it? What do you hear about it? What do you hear about it? But watch one black boy burning a spliff on the side of the road. You have 6 police officers crushing him and handcuffing him and abusing him. White folk ain't got to worry about that. Not in this country. They don't. Me, I just have to worry about having my hands in my pockets when a police car drives by.
Yeah. Yeah. It's facts, man. It's facts. Listen, everyone who's listening right now, just drop in the chat, top 2 fires, because flames right now. And next question is an interesting question. I'm not even sure if there's even an answer really to it. And the question is this goal of equity, equality, a place where everyone is treated the same and put the same level from the jump, from birth, that everyone starts at the same point in the race? Is this goal attainable?
I don't know. Only because I can't tell the future. You know what I mean? I don't know, and I don't want to sound like a false optimist or a forced optimist, but I think what is attainable is the goal where people can gain more understanding. What I think is an attainable goal is for people to actually be able to achieve a higher level of love for self and others. When I watched, I'm not going to say which movie it was because I'm not about to promote no slave movie, but when I was watching one of these slave movies years and years ago, and I saw the slave being beaten and being brutally flogged with a whip, I was on one side very angry that someone could do that to a human being, and then on the other side, I was like, wow, there's no way the man who's doing this can have any level of love for himself, because I can't look at my fellow man, regardless of what they look like. I can't watch my fellow man get clotted like that and take pleasure. I can't care about myself if that's what I'm about. Surely not. Surely not.
Yeah.
So I think attainable goals are for people to be able to develop higher levels of love for self and for others, higher levels of regard for others and self.
Yeah. So I guess you pretty much answered my next 2 questions, really. Yeah, but just to sort of add to it, what can be done sort of now? Like, what can people be doing now or foreseeable future to make sure that what we're saying now isn't just a service? We actually.
Yeah. Let's stop being sorry about being black, and let's stop being sorry about being here. That's it. If we can quit being so damn sorry, I think we can focus on other things and focus on doing greatness. For me, I've focused on things that could have finished my mind. I've experienced things that could have finished my mind. I have. But I stopped focusing on those things and I focused on what it is that I can do. And that's why I've built the network around me that I have. That's why I have the strength of protection and cover that I have, because I invested in the right areas as far as I'm concerned. I didn't invest in like, oh my God, how do I fit better? How am I more acceptable? How am I more palatable? I'm sick of trying to be palatable. I don't care about being palatable. I don't care if I'm never palatable. The book that I recently wrote, Stories Boys Don't Like to Tell, somebody asked me and said, oh, don't you think you could be a bit more subtle with your approach? And I said, rape is not subtle. Divorce is not subtle. Heartbreak is not subtle. There's nothing subtle about finding out that your family is not who you thought they were. There's nothing subtle about having an identity crisis. And just as there's nothing subtle about my blackness, guess what? I'm done being sorry. And that's what I encourage everyone to do. I didn't say go and kill people. Do not go and don't go killing people. Don't go committing murder. Don't go hurting people. Don't go trying to seek revenge where against people who didn't do anything. Just stop being sorry for being black. Just stop being sorry for being black. You can do that in a peaceful way.
Yeah. Yeah. So with people making all these changes and doing all to make sure moving towards change, what does this change mean, or what does this goal mean for future generations?
It means that future generations can roam around the earth without having to think twice about the color of their skin, the color of their eyes, the curl pattern of their hair, the size of their genitals, the size of her chest. Like, it's like just being ourselves unapologetically now means that our kids can grow up in the future and really discover what it is to discover. Because they're not worried about, like, oh my God, am I enough? Am I adequate? They're looking at the rest of the world and saying, what can I do out there? What contribution can I make? What part can I play? Hell, what can I gain?
Fantastic, man. I have two more questions for you. But if anyone has a different question, anyone watching, ask, put it through. And if you do have any questions like after this that you want to make either myself or cast out, also feel free to do that as well. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, but handles will be in the description. Send a message. Cass, what's stopping us right now from achieving what we want to happen? What way?
Because everybody wants to get for self. Nobody wants to build collectively. That's it.
Yeah.
Everyone is scared that his brother's going to overtake him. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, and this is like, and this happens in families everywhere, right? Say like your say your big sister, right? Like, like your elder sister, she's like 30 something and she's really done all right for herself, whatever, but she doesn't have a man, right? She doesn't have a man, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. And then you get a girl, right? And you're all up in your 20s and you're still, all springy and young. And then you get married, your wife gets pregnant, you're all happy and all this kind of stuff. But your sister's giving you a side eye because you had a baby first, because you got pregnant first. People are doing this in our community. Yeah. People are going to buy a better sofa because their cousin got a new sofa. People are going to upgrade their lease vehicle because their cousin got, or their neighbor or their brother got a new German, and they want to show that me too, I could do it. People just want to show up for self and do for self. There's no collective effort. There's no communal effort. We really struggle in the area of being connected with each other and being there for each other and helping to feed one another. And what I'm also talking about, I'm not talking about sharing money in the community, because people talk about wealth distribution before they talk about emotional well-being. How are you going to talk about how to share money when your mind ain't right? How are you going to talk about how to share resources when your heart's not in the right place? Like, it actually is illogical. It does not make sense. People just want to do for self. They want to protect themselves, and they want to be there for themselves, and they want to stand for themselves, and then they want to cry when people aren't there to support them. What's making us not achieve our goals is because we're too busy doing for self. And even though I know I personally don't live like that, but if I'm the only person in the room living like that, then we're all living like that.
Yeah. So my final question, and I asked myself this question because I found it the hardest question to answer. Like, it's one of the it's easy to answer, but it's just a question that I about or ask very often, which makes it hard to answer. And the question is, why do you think goal needs to be achieved? Why not just achieve things right now?
why not just leave things?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of being alive if it's not to lead a new pathway into positivity? What is the point of breathing this air if we're not going to use it as fuel to do something meaningful? Every action that we take affects everybody around us, and every inaction we take, surprisingly and even more so, affects every single person around you. So would you rather be effective because you did something meaningful, or would you rather affect and afflict because you did nothing? So I'm gonna answer your question with a question.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, it's so true. Yeah, like, because even though I remember the first show I did on this, I said that if I work hard enough, if I want to be a musician in the world that we live in now, I can do that. If I work hard enough and I want to be an actor, I can do that. But the whole point of the question is that like if that's all that you want to live for is yourself, then go for it. But I think that one of the issues is, as you said, is people thinking of self and living for self. Like, if I think about my own career, then I don't really care about other people's problems, or sometimes even my own problem that affects other people. However, like when does it get to a point where life becomes more about me and my career, or me and my relationships? When does life become more about us people, like better the world that we live in for people who come after me? You know?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, so like that's why I sort of love that question, because I know that all lives matter people are asking that question, and they're like, but it's not as bad as you're saying it is. Like, just like dramatic. Like, it's not that bad.
Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Or are saying,
and I mean that.
Yeah.
I mean that.
Yeah.
I mean that. Oh God, to be plagued with such disastrous, corrosive ignorance. What misfortune. Father, bless them, for they are lacking in more ways than they realize. In Jesus' name, amen.
Guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You've been amazing. God bless you. Stay remarkable. I really admire your efforts and admire your work. Incredible. Please stay on it. Stay on it. Stay strong.
Thank you so much, man. And that also goes for you. I wish you all the best in your endeavors when you're making this series and stuff like that.
You know, do you know that I'm about to rope you in a project? You do realize?
Sorry, what you say?
You do realize I'm about to rope you in on a project, right?
Oh, yeah, go for it. Yeah. I'm in it already. I'm there.
Amazing. I'm so glad.
But yeah, so
I'm so glad.
I also want to thank you for your honesty and your realness, because like I find a lot of times when I talk to people about this, it becomes a sort of less sort of emotional thing, and it's more like, here are the facts. This is why. Forget that this is actually stuff that people are feeling, people are living.
Yeah. We've got statistics. It's okay.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to go back and be like, "Where's your statistics?" We can give you statistics.
Yeah.
But on a human level, here it is.
Yeah. And this is the life that not the life that we want for others. It's not the life that we want for ourselves. It's not the life that we want for our children,
Exactly.
and that is why we do this. So yeah. But thank you so much, Ben. and I will hit you up soon on a private thing, you know, just for a good, you know, station that's a little less intense than this.
Of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. I'll speak to you soon.
You're welcome, man. Much love to you and the family. Take care of yourself, okay?
You too, man. Take care. All right.
Peace and love.
Bye. Wow, man. Wow. Living beyond yourself, not just living for yourself. And also, again, like when I was saying, I love when people are just real, not just showing me the facts and the statistics. And even though that's helpful, like I can go online and look at that. But the reason why we do this is because I want everyone to see that this is real life. People are living this. I'm living this, and others are living this. It's not just like, I am not just a statistic. I am not just a figure. I'm not just a number that you read online. I am a human being who is in a world that is making me suffer. It's making me suffocate. And this is why change needs to come. But I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. I have no idea why I broke out into song, but hey ho, there you are. So thank you so much for watching. This has been I Can't Breathe, the show where air is free. See the change, be the change, be the change. And I'll see you next week. Take care and peace.